Picture this. You pull into the tire shop. Maybe it's a chain store, maybe it's your local mechanic, maybe it's even the dealership. You just got 4 brand new tires installed. They cost you $800, maybe $1,000. The tech finishes up, hands you the keys, and says you're all set. You drive off feeling good because you just made a responsible decision. You took care of your car. But here's what you didn't see. Right before he pulled your car out of the bay, that tech grabbed the air hose, set the gauge to 32 PSI, and filled every single tire to that number. He didn't check your door jamb sticker. He didn't look at your owner's manual. He didn't consider your specific vehicle, your tire size, or how you actually drive. He just set it to 32 because that's what everyone does. That's what is always done. And now, without knowing it, you just started a countdown to buying new tires way sooner than you should. I want you to think about the last time you bought tires. How long did they last? 2 years? Maybe 3 if you were lucky? And when you went back to the shop, what did they tell you? They probably said something like, well, these tires are pretty worn, you should probably replace them soon for safety. And you believed them because why wouldn't you? You assume tires just wear out. That's what happens. That's the cost of owning a car. But what if I told you that your tires should last 4, 5, even 6 years with proper care? What if I told you that the reason you're replacing them every 2 years has nothing to do with the quality of the tires, and everything to do with that moment in the shop when they set your pressure to 32 PSI without a second thought? I'm not a mechanic. I'm not a tire engineer. I'm just a regular person who got tired of spending money I didn't need to spend. I got tired of feeling like every time I walked into an auto shop I was walking into a situation where I didn't have the information I needed to make good decisions. I started asking questions. I started doing research. And what I found made me angry because it was so simple. The information was right there. It was on my door jamb the whole time. It was in my owner's manual. But nobody ever told me to look. Nobody ever explained why it mattered. And I think that's true for a lot of people watching this video right now. So that's why I am making this. Not to sell you anything, not to tell you to buy some special product, just to share what I've learned so you can stop wasting money like I did. Let me drop a comment question right now because I really want to hear from you. How long did your last set of tires last? And I mean really last, from the day you bought them to the day you replaced them. Drop that number in the comments. And if you remember what you paid for those tires, include that too, because I'm willing to bet that most of you are going to say somewhere between 18 months and 3 years. And I'm willing to bet that most of you paid somewhere between $600 and $1,200 for those tires. That's a lot of money to be spending that often. And for a lot of people, it's completely unnecessary. So let's talk about what 32 PSI actually means and why it's become this universal default that every tire shop seems to use. First, you need to understand that there are 2 different pressure numbers associated with your tires. The first number is on the tire itself. If you look at the sidewall of your tire, you'll see something that says max pressure or maximum inflation pressure, and ITL give you a number, usually somewhere between 44 and 51 PSI for most passenger cars. This is the absolute maximum amount of air that tire can safely hold. It's a safety limit set by the tire manufacturer. It's not a recommendation. It's a ceiling. You should never exceed this number. But here's the key. Just because you can go up to that number doesn't mean you should run your tires at that number for daily driving. The second number is on your vehicle. Open your driver's side door and look at the door jamb. There's a sticker there with a bunch of information about your specific vehicle, tire size, load capacity, and most importantly, the recommended cold tire pressure for your car. This number was determined by the engineers who designed your vehicle. They tested your car with specific tires at specific pressures to optimize handling, braking, fuel economy, and tire wear. This is the number you should be using, not the number on the tire, not some generic 32 PSI that the shop uses for every car that rolls through. But here's where things get interesting. For many vehicles, especially modern ones, the recommended pressure is higher than 32 PSI. I am looking at trucks and SUVs that recommend 35, 36, even 40 PSI. I am looking at sedans that recommend 33 or 34 PSI. And when tire shops default to 32 PSI regardless of what your vehicle actually needs, they're underinflating your tires. Maybe only by a few PSI. But that difference adds up in ways that cost you real money. The U.S. Department of Energy has studied this extensively. According to their research, for every single PSI that your tires are underinflated, you lose about 0.2% of your fuel economy. That might not sound like much, but let's do the math. If your car recommends 36 PSI and the shop sets your tires to 32 PSI, you're 4 PSI under. That's a 0.8% loss in fuel economy. Over a year of driving, that's real money out of your pocket. But the fuel economy loss is actually the smaller problem. The bigger problem is what underinflation does to your tires themselves. When a tire doesn't have enough air in it, the sidewalls flex more than they're designed to. Every time the tire rotates, that sidewall is bending and flexing and generating heat. Heat is the enemy of tires. It breaks down the rubber compounds, it weakens the internal structure, and it causes the tread to wear unevenly. Specifically, underinflated tires wear out on the edges faster than in the center. If you've ever looked at your worn tires and noticed that the outside edges were more worn than the middle, that's a sign that you've been running underinflated. Some tire manufacturers estimate that just 5 psi below the recommended pressure can reduce your tire life by as much as 25%. Think about that. A quarter of your tire life gone because someone at a shop set your pressure wrong. Now I want you to pause and check something. Seriously, pause this video, go out to your car, and look at your door jamb sticker. What does it say? Write that number down. Then check your actual tire pressure. If you don't have a gauge, they're like $3 at any auto parts store. Compare the two numbers. I would be willing to bet that a lot of you are going to find a gap. And if that gap is there, you've been slowly losing money this whole time without even knowing it. By the way, where are you watching this from? I am curious about the geographic spread of our audience. Drop your city or your state or your country in the comments. And while you're at it, tell me what the going rate is for a set of 4 tires in your area. Because I know prices vary a lot depending on where you live. In some places, you're looking at $500 for a decent set. In other places, especially if you have a bigger vehicle or you need specialty tires, you're easily over $1,000. The more expensive tires are in your area, the more important this information becomes, because every month you can extend the life of your tires is money you don't have to spend. Let's talk about why tire shops do this. And I want to be fair here because I don't think most technicians are trying to scam you. I think they're following a habit that nobody ever questioned. Think about it from their perspective. They see dozens of cars every single day. Every car is different. Different makes, different models, different tire sizes, different recommended pressures. Checking the door jamb sticker for every single car would add time to every job. And in a busy shop, time is money. So at some point, someone decided that 32 psi was good enough for most cars. It's a safe middle ground. It's not dangerously low, it's not harmfully high. And it works. The car drives fine. The customer doesn't notice anything wrong. Everybody moves on. But good enough is not the same as optimal. And over time, that difference between good enough and optimal adds up. Your tires wear faster, you spend more on gas, and eventually, you end up back at the shop buying new tires 2 years later when they should have lasted 4. The shop gets another sale, you spend another $1,000. And the cycle continues. Now some people might argue that a few PSI doesn't really matter that much, and I get it, it seems like such a small thing. But small things compound over time. Here's another statistic that might surprise you. Tires naturally lose air even when there's nothing wrong with them. The rubber is porous. Air molecules slowly escape through the tire material. On average, a tire loses about 1 to 2 psi per month just from this natural process. So let's say the shop sets your tires to 32 psi, but your car actually needs 36 psi. You're already 4 psi under from day one. Then a month goes by and you lose another psi. Now you're 5 under. Another month, another psi, now you're 6 under. By the time 3 months have passed, you're running your tires at 29 or 30 psi when they should be at 36. That's almost 20% underinflated. And according to industry studies, 20% underinflation can reduce your tire life by 30%. That means a tire that should last 50,000 miles might only last 35,000 miles. That's a 15,000-mile difference. That's potentially years of driving time that you're losing. So what should you actually do about this? The answer is simple. Check your own tire pressure regularly. Once a month is ideal. At minimum, check it every time the seasons change because temperature affects tire pressure. For every 10° Fahrenheit drop in temperature, your tires lose about 1 psi. So if you had your pressure set perfectly in the summer, by winter you could be 5 or 6 psi low just from the cold. And always check your pressure when the tires are cold. That means before you drive or at least a few hours after driving. When you drive, the friction generates heat, and heat expands the air inside the tire. You can get a reading that's 3 to 5 PSI higher than your actual cold pressure. So if you check right after driving and your gauge says 35, your actual cold pressure might only be 31 or 32. Invest in a decent tire pressure gauge. You don't need anything fancy. A simple digital gauge for $15 or $20 is accurate enough. And consider getting a portable tire inflator. They plug into your car's power outlet or run on a rechargeable battery. They're like $30 to $50, and they're incredibly convenient. You can check and adjust your tire pressure in your own driveway instead of hunting for a gas station with a working air machine. Because let's be honest, those gas station air machines are either broken half the time, or they charge you $1.50 for air that should be free. But the most important thing is this: know your numbers. Know what pressure your specific vehicle needs. It's on your door jamb, it's in your owner's manual. It's probably available online if you search your year, make, and model plus tire pressure. Once you know that number, check it regularly and maintain it yourself. Don't rely on the shop to get it right. They might. But they also might just default to 32 and move on to the next car. I want to share one more thing before we wrap up. I mentioned earlier that I started researching this because I was tired of spending money unnecessarily. But there's another side to this that goes beyond money. It's about safety. Underinflated tires don't just wear faster, they also perform worse. Your stopping distance increases because the tire isn't gripping the road properly. Your handling gets worse because the sidewall is flexing more than it's designed to. And in extreme cases, severe underinflation can cause the tire to overheat to the point of failure. That's a blowout. That's potentially losing control of your vehicle at highway speeds. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration estimates that tire-related issues contribute to over 11,000 crashes every single year in the United States alone. Many of those crashes involve underinflated tires. Many of them are preventable. So this isn't just about saving money on tires, it's about taking control of your vehicle maintenance. It's about not blindly trusting that someone else is doing the right thing for your car. It's about being informed so you can make better decisions. And honestly, once you get into the habit of checking your tire pressure regularly, it takes like 2 minutes. 2 minutes a month to potentially save yourself hundreds of dollars and keep yourself safer on the road. That's a pretty good trade. Alright, let's recap the key points. 1. The 32 PSI that many shops use as a default is often not the correct pressure for your specific vehicle. 2. Your actual recommended pressure is on your door jamb sticker and in your owner's manual. 3. Running even a few PSI under can significantly reduce tire life and fuel economy. 4. Tires naturally lose pressure over time, so regular checks are essential. 5. Always check pressure when tires are cold for an accurate reading. And 6. This isn't about being paranoid or distrustful. It's about being informed and taking ownership of your vehicle's maintenance. Before I let you go, let me tell you about something that happened to me recently that really drove this point home. I was at a family gathering and my cousin mentioned that she just had to buy new tires for her SUV. She said they only lasted about 18 months. I asked her what happened and she said she didn't know, they just wore out. I asked if I could look at them before she got rid of them. The wear pattern was classic underinflation. The edges were practically bald while the center still had decent tread. I asked her what pressure she had been running. She had no idea. She said the shop handles all that stuff. I checked her door jamb. Her vehicle recommended 35 PSI for the front and 38 PSI for the rear because it's an SUV that can carry heavy loads. I would bet money that whoever did her last tire rotation or oil change set all 4 tires to 32 and called it a day. She spent over $900 on those tires. They lasted 18 months. If she had been running the correct pressure, those same tires probably would have lasted 4 years. That means she spent $900 when she could have waited, and spent that same $900 in 2027 instead of 2025. That's 2 years of keeping money in her pocket. And this happens to millions of people every single year. I want to hear your stories too. Have you ever had tires wear out faster than they should have? Have you ever looked at your worn tires and noticed uneven wear patterns? Have you ever caught a shop doing something that wasn't right? Drop those experiences in the comments. Not to call anyone out, but to help other viewers learn from real situations. The more we share information with each other, the harder it becomes for bad practices to continue. Also, I know some of you watching this are probably mechanics or tire technicians yourselves. And I want to be clear that this video isn't attacking you personally. Most of you are just doing what you've been trained to do, following